Sesko Gyokeres, who are the Gunners going to sign? Nico Williams deal off, and Arsenal interested in Dutch wonderkid. Let's get straight into the news. How's it going, Gooners? And welcome to the Arsenal Transfer Recap Show hosted by Punch Drunk Arsenal. Your home to the latest Arsenal news and transfer updates. As I mentioned, this is the Arsenal Transfer Recap Show, so we're going to take a little look at all the Arsenal news from today. We're going to start, obviously, in our most important positions in our attack. We've got a few stories from there. Moving into midfield, we've got some Zubimendi news. And then finally, we're going to talk about our defense. We've got some news from Simon Collins today regarding Jorrel Hato, the Ajax wonderkid. So let's get straight into it. Obviously, we're going to start off with the striker position. We all know that the Gunners are mainly focusing on two strikers, Benjamin Sesko of RBLeipzig and Victor Gyokeres of Sporting Lisbon. So the news today, not really big updates per se. We got some news from Florian Plettenberg, the Sky Germany reporter, once again, just stating some news. We already know that the Gunners are still in talks with RB Leipzig over a possible transfer of Benjamin Sesko. That deal is likely going to cost the Gunners around £70 million plus minus. And it's a player that we all know the Gunners have been heavily interested in the last couple of seasons. We came close to signing him last summer as well as in January, and the Gunners seem to be continuing on with their interest in Sesko. From the news that we've heard, Victor Gyokeres is still Arsenal's priority actually in the striker position. Andre Berta, the new Arsenal sporting director, is a huge fan of Gyokeres. We saw some interesting news regarding Gyokeres, however, though, that it seems like he's been pulled out of the Swedish team for the upcoming internationals due to a so-called injury. We know usually around this time of the year, a lot of players before big transfers, they start to get the transferitis, where they pick up all these weird little injuries, which kind of just means that they are working on securing their new club for the next season. Some news out of Portugal also stated that Gyokeres has decided that his next destination will be England. We know Arsenal have secured personal terms with Gyokeres already. So that deal, in my opinion, looks like it's actually moving forward. There is a little bit of a hiccup in the Gyokeres deal with Chelsea and Liverpool also interested. So perhaps he ends up moving to the other side of London or to Merseyside. But in our opinion, we still know that Arsenal very much are interested in Gyokeres. We saw, I believe it was a Swedish podcast came out where the two hosts were kind of quizzing Gyokeres on his potential move to Arsenal, and jokingly he said he'll let them know when he signs for the club, and that's nothing to take too serious. But yeah, as I say, currently the striker situation is obviously Benjamin Sesko and Victor Gyokeres, with the club in talks with both players and with both clubs still. Gyokeres has already agreed personal terms. Apparently Sesko has not agreed personal terms yet. Some reports have stated that he has. I believe he probably has, just because considering that the Gunners have done so much work on him over the last year. So I believe both players would want to move to Arsenal. Now it's just dependent on who the Gunners sign and who they believe would be the better deal. Also, we need to consider when it comes to the striker position, both of them are going to be quite expensive. Sesko likely to cost a little bit more than Gyokeres, even though his wages probably won't be as much as Victor Gyokeres. However, as far as transfer fees go, Gyokeres is likely to cost around 60 million. So both pros and cons to both players. Obviously, the pros for Sesko is he's young. There's a lot of room for development. Physically, he looks like one of the most imposing strikers in the world. And as I mentioned, he's got bag loads of potential. So there's still a lot of room for him to actually grow. And especially under someone like the tutelage of Mikel Arteta, you'd expect a player like Sesko to explode. He's still a little bit raw. There's still a lot of aspects of his game he can work on, but he fits the profile of an Arsenal player, especially a Mikel Arteta archetypal player, someone that can dominate the box, someone that can score headers, which also we've seen lately, especially the last couple of weeks to the end of the season. We saw Arsenal put in a lot of crosses into the box, and they were looking for that catalyst of a striker that can come in there and score those goals. There also reports that Kai Havertz still likely to be the starting striker next season. So if you have a youngster coming through like Benjamin Sesko, it gives the opportunity for him to actually come on off the bench and still build himself into that striker position, whereas Gyokeres would likely command a starting berth in the Arsenal team. However, with Gyokeres, you get an experienced player, someone that's actually been in the Premier League before. He was with Brighton, even though he didn't get a first team game with Brighton. He's been with Brighton, so he understands the league. He's also been with Coventry, so he's played in England before, and his goal record is just insane. 64 goals and 12 assists this past year. Over his spell in Sporting Lisbon, he's already scored over 100 goals in I think 2 seasons. So that's a ridiculous amount. That's a ridiculous amount of goals for a striker. And both would fit Arsenal for different reasons, but both would definitely come in and be good players for the club. Another interesting story that we actually saw in January that's starting to come back to fruition. We also personally heard a couple of weeks ago that the Gunners' interest in Ollie Watkins has not faded. He's likely to cost around £50 million, and he's obviously a very Premier League proven player. He scores goals and assists, so either one of those three would be very good additions to the club. It's just to see now, as I mentioned, which one they actually go for, which one they pull the trigger for. All three are have their pros, have their cons. When it comes to our personal opinion on this one, I think Gyokeres should likely come in because Arsenal do need that clinical, proven, experienced striker that can come in and win now. However, if we sign someone like a Benjamin Sesko, no complaints from my side. I think him in a couple of years is going to be arguably the best striker in the world. He has all the traits of Erling Haaland, except that he can also dribble quite well. His passing is still a little bit needs a little bit of work, but as a whole, he can be molded into one of the best strikers in the world. Moving on to our flanks, we've got some information. Obviously, we saw the news from this week regarding Leroy Sane. Arsenal looking to hijack that deal from Tottenham. Leroy Sane on a free transfer with his experience offers something different on the right hand side, would also be a very good addition to the club. However, I just don't think that should be our priority at this moment. If we can get him in, plus a striker and a left wing, that sets our attack up for next season beautifully. However, I just think at this moment in time, the right wing position shouldn't be our priority. Saka likely still to be the starting winger. I don't see anyone being able to replace him. And then Wanyeri can also substitute for Saka in that position. So it's not really a priority for us at this moment in time. However, if we do bring in a player like Sane, there should be no complaints from any of the Arsenal fans. Moving on to the left wing now. Some discouraging news a little bit is from Ben Jacobs today that stated that Nico Williams is receiving interest. Well, not interest, as Atletico Bilbao, his club, have initiated talks with him over a new possible deal as they look to extend his current wage package up to £10 million per year. From the majority of the news that we've heard over the last couple of months is that he's actually on high wages already. So I'm not really too sure how accurate these reports are, but considering how good Ben Jacobs has been over the last couple of seasons, especially this year, you'd expect there to be some validity in his claims. And if it's true that they're only looking for around a £10 million per year package, Arsenal should be all over this deal. I believe there's better options on the market for the Gunners if they are able to land someone like a Rodrigo or a Bradley Barcola. But if Mikel Arteta believes that Nico Williams is the one that he believes would elevate Arsenal's attack on that left hand side, then for the I believe it would be around £200,000 per week, Arsenal should definitely pull the trigger on this one and get this deal done. I believe he's got a release clause between £50 to £60 million, so not the most expensive player in the world either. And for his age at 22, he's another one that can develop into a high level player. We saw earlier this transfer that Real Madrid actually were interested in him. So if all the reports are true with the amount of wage he actually wants, Arsenal should be all over that deal. As I mentioned, if we lose out on him and then we end up bringing in someone like a Bradley Barcola or Rodrigo, it wouldn't be the biggest loss in the world. But as I mentioned, for the price and for the wage that's been mentioned, Nico Williams should be one. And also the fact that Mikel Arteta really wants him should be the one that we actually push ahead for. Jamie Bynoe-Gittens, the Dortmund winger, is also someone that the Gunners have been linked with quite regularly through over the last month. We saw some reports coming out of BVB media about 3 weeks to a month ago, so that's saying that the Gunners were getting very close to a deal for Bynoe-Gittens. So that's something definitely that we should be keeping an eye out on. However, I know there's recently been reports linking Chelsea with Bynoe-Gittens, and you can see Arsenal and Chelsea going for very much the same caliber of players. This areas Arsenal and Chelsea have the same areas that they need to improve on. So expect a lot of Arsenal and Chelsea transfer links to be the same this summer. Now moving on to midfield, we obviously all know Martin Zubimendi. He seems like he's already agreed a deal with Arsenal to come to North London this summer. Another one we saw a little bit of discouraging news coming from reports. I believe Zubimendi was speaking to some of the press, saying that his future is not concluded yet. He's not really sure where he's going to end up after the window. They mentioned Real Madrid, that Xabi Alonso is his idol, and wada. But Ryan Taylor actually ended up saying that Zubimendi's deal will be made official with Arsenal in a couple of weeks' time, with just the medical pending. So I still believe that this deal is going to happen. We know Fabrizio Romano has also reported, I believe David Ornstein, Sami Mokbal. So arguably the top 3 most reliable journalists out there when it comes to transfer news have all reported that Zubimendi has pretty much agreed a deal to come to North London. So expect that one to happen. It's another one that the Gunners have been working on for a very long time, and one that Mikel Arteta has really been pushing to get over the line. We heard that actually just before Andrea Berta came to sign his new deal as the sporting director for Arsenal, he met with Zubimendi's camp in Spain, leaving Atletico Madrid, and a deal was actually struck on personal terms then. So my opinion, I still see Arsenal. I believe this one's a 99% done. Wouldn't want to say 100% because we saw what happened last year with Liverpool, the Liverpool situation with Zubimendi, where he pulled it at the last minute. But I believe that Zubimendi will be an Arsenal player and likely to be Arsenal's first signing of the summer window. Moving on to defense, we've got a story that of a player that we've also been interested in for the last couple of seasons. It's Ajax and Netherlands wonderkid Jorrel Hato. Now, we know the Gunners are definitely interested in bringing some defensive reinforcements in the summer. It's just a little suspicious and weird to me that the Gunners are targeting yet another left-sided defender when arguably our right side needs a little bit of work. We need someone to come in that can rotate with Saliba. Ben White, Jurrien Timber both can play on the right-hand side, but I believe that we need another centre-back there. I know we were linked with Dean Hazen, the former Bournemouth man. He ended up going to Real Madrid. Arsenal were very much interested in the deal for him. So Jorrel Hato, even though we all know about him at this moment in time, Ajax's youngest ever captain at 17, which is mad. If you consider the type of players Ajax have had throughout the years, Edwin van der Sar, Clarence Seedorf, etc., the list goes on. For him to be Ajax's youngest ever captain just kind of illustrates the character, the stature of the player himself, and also the quality that he presents. This season he's been playing predominantly as a left back. He can also, obviously, as I mentioned, he can play as a centre back, and that's kind of something that Arteta really values in players, is that versatility. We saw with Jurrien Timber that happening as well. He came to the club as a centre back from Ajax. Now he's predominantly playing as a right back and also play on the left. Ben White, similar situation. He came in as a centre back. Now he's also a right back. So Arsenal do have numbers on the right. You just don't want to be in a situation where, again, let's say Ben White gets injured or Saliba gets injured. Now Jurrien Timber is a player that you can't rely on for a full season. Now all of a sudden Arsenal are short on that side, whereas our left hand side, we're pretty stocked up. We don't know what the future lies for Zinchenko. Nuno Tavares is leaving the club. Kieran Tierney is leaving the club. So our left hand side, even though we've got those two players and maybe Zinchenko leaving, we're still quite stacked because we've got Miles Lewis-Kelly, Gabriel, Kivio, and Ricardo Calafiore, who can all play on that left hand side. I guess Calafiore has played a few games on the right centre back, but he's a left footer, so you would like to have him on the left hand side. So in my opinion, I think if the Jorrel Hato deal gets over the line, there's going to be no complaints. I'm not going to sit here and be like, we don't need to sign him, or it's a waste of money because he's a huge talent. He's only 19 still, and he's arguably going to become one of the best defenders in the world. I just feel like we need to prioritize the right side of our defense a little bit more, and that's an area we really need to focus on to bring, as I mentioned, a rotation option for Saliba. That's about it, guys. Obviously, goalkeeper, we are still in the market for a second goalkeeper. Jean Garcia was going to be the first choice second goalkeeper. We came close to signing him last summer. Apparently, he was distraught when the deal didn't happen. However, he had another good season with Espanyol. He's very highly rated among some of Europe's elite clubs. and I just can't see him in his current position wanting to be a backup keeper. There's been reports that Barcelona are interested in him. If he goes to Barcelona, he's going to be the reserve keeper. They just signed Szczesny onto a new 1 year or 2 year deal. Ter Stegen is still there, so he's going to be second, third choice keeper. Highly unlikely that he starts off the campaign as number 1. So if he goes to Barcelona, not Arsenal, that would kind of be a big loss for the club. Like I mentioned, especially because he won't be the starting goalkeeper going into the side. But David Raya is going to be Arsenal's number 1 next season, and rightfully so. 2 consecutive Golden Glove seasons. I wouldn't really want to replace him with anyone else at this moment in time anyway. But we do need a reserve goalkeeper. We do need some backup for our right side of our defense. Martin Odegaard. The Martin Odegaard situation is a bit tricky for me because I do believe we probably do need another number in there just to challenge him, someone that can rotate with him. But we've got Ethan Nwaneri. He's going to be another year older. The 10 is his preferred position. We've already seen the high level of talent that he has, the high level of productivity that he's brought into the Arsenal team. He also can play on the right. He can play as the 10. Max Daumann, arguably the most exciting prospect to come out of Hale End, arguably ever. He's also coming through. He's going to be likely to be more part of the first team next season. He's going to be going on pre-season tour. So if you consider that Arsenal do have Ethan Nwaneri and Max Daumann in line to come for Odegaard, I think those are good enough numbers. Max Daumann, he obviously won't be playing every single game. He's still like 15, 16 years old. But he's a huge talent. Odegaard's another one. He doesn't really get injured. I know he got injured this season, but it's pretty much the first time in his career he's picked up a proper injury. Don't expect him to get injured again next season. CDM, Zubimendi, we mentioned Zubimendi is coming in. Thomas Partey apparently has held talks with Barcelona over signing with them on a free transfer, but his preferred destination is still to remain at Arsenal next season. Talks still going on between the club and the player, with both parties looking to reach an agreement on a new deal. If Thomas Partey leaves, we definitely need to look at another CDM. But at this moment in time, if he stays, our numbers are good there. The left side of our midfield is stacked to the max. Declan Rice obviously going to be the starting 8. Then you still have Mikel Merino who can play there. Kai Havertz can play there when need be. I mean, even if Zubimendi comes in, I'm sure he can even play down that left-hand side. We've seen him with Sociedad drift into those pockets of spaces on both sides. He can also drift into the centre-back role. So I think our numbers are starting to look good if we get a few of our key targets in. It's just our attack. I think we need to prioritize those attacking signings. We need to get them over the line. We need to get a strike in. We need to get a left wing in, and we need to get, in my opinion, a backup for Saka. So if we're in the season with the transfer window with Leroy Sane, Nico Williams or Rodrigo, and then the Benjamin Sesko or Gyokeres in our attacking line, I think we're going to be set for next season, guys. And I expect us to be challenging on all fronts once again, including the domestic cups, which we've faltered a little bit over the last couple of seasons. Newcastle obviously was a bit disappointing in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. FA Cup we've been a bit poor in since we last won the trophy. But I'm excited for the transfer window. I think we're going to see some big things happening very soon. Obviously we only have about a week left before the Club World Cup kicks off. Then the transfer window is going to take a small break. It's like, I'm not sure if it's the whole tournament or if it's only like a week or two. But it's not the biggest of breaks. But I know a lot of clubs want to get their business done, especially the teams in the Club World Cup before the Club World Cup, because I think it's £100 million on the line. So everyone's going to be pushing hard to win that competition, and you don't want to miss out on the potential number 1 target because a club in the Club World Cup is actually now pursuing one of your main targets. So even the clubs that aren't in, like Arsenal, who aren't in the Club World Cup, they're going to be looking to get some of their business done before the start of that tournament. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Sesko, Gyokeres, who would you prefer the club signed? Thoughts on the Nico Williams situation? Do you think Bilbao will manage to get him onto a new contract? That's an interesting one. That's very much an interesting one for me, just because of the fact that he does love Bilbao. They are willing to pay the big wages for him, but I think at this moment in time, he needs to be moving to a more elite club to actually be pushing himself and to be edging himself towards that status of one of the world's best wingers. And then also finally the Jorrel Hato news coming from, I believe it was Simon Collins today. Interesting player. I just don't think should be our priority at this moment in time. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna be doing this every single night, just chatting to yokes about the latest Arsenal news and exactly where we're standing in the transfer window. Transfer window is one of the best times for me. It's one of the most exciting times. Also, could be one of the most heartbreaking times if your club doesn't get the players you thought they were gonna get. As I mentioned, anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. As always, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to Punch Drunk Arsenal for all your latest Arsenal news and transfer updates, and leave your comments down in the comment section below. Cheers, guys.